Hello folks, this is Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're looking at an Enlan knife. This is the L02 sub 3-inch blade. So for those of you guys who need to get knives that are under 3 inches, if you want to legally carry them, that is. This is a knife that you're going to want to know about, I think. G10 handle scales, very deep pocket clip in the tip down position, liner lock, 8CR13 MOV steel. This knife is under $10 US at GearBest. So if that's got you interested, stick around for the full review. Before I get into the details of this knife, I want to let you know to be watching on Saturday. Saturday, I've got a big news. I've got a reveal of something that I want to share with you guys, something that's been in the works for over half a year. And to me, it's really big news. So make sure that you're watching on Saturday morning. So up close, this knife looks actually quite nice. And it flicks out very well as well. The thumb studs are positioned perfectly in relation to the handle to be able to get it to open very well. Sometimes on economical knives, they just don't give you enough room between the handle and the thumb stud to get back there and do that flicking, but this guy's done very well. So what do we got? This is an older model, at least I believe it is, because it still says B on there, B-E-E. I think that's a branding that Enlan L02 used a while ago and has retired already. Although they still might have, some vendors might still have some in stock of the knives that still have that branding. I think Land is what replaced that. I'm not sure. I haven't been able to ask Enlan L02 because they don't answer emails, at least not recently. And, so it is what it is. I'm not sure. Mine says B on it, and it's pretty nice. So what do we have? We've got G10 handle scales. We've got a 8CR13 MOV stainless steel blade. Decent budget steel. I like it. It works well for the price. We've got a drop point blade, nice swedge there, hollow grind, a very small sharpness choil kind of thing there. Liner lock, and it locks up very well. I'll talk about that later. Liners, stainless steel liners that are not skeletonized. Not a big deal because it's not that heavy. We've got flush screws. I really like that. I'll talk about that some more. And it's an open pillar construction. A little bit of a thumb ramp with some jimping. And the only other jimping is on the liner lock right there. We've got one pocket clip, right side, tip down only, ultra deep carry. That's the overview. Okay, let's talk about the specs and the details of this knife in more specifics. The blade is done very well with a nice even hollow grind. Very often on really cheap knives, you see waves in them. But this guy is $9.33 at GearBest. That's US dollars. They charge a little under $2 shipping if this is the only thing that you buy. If you buy more stuff, the price for your shipping goes down or sometimes goes away. In Canadian dollars, it's $12.86 with $2.67 in shipping if this is the only thing that you buy. Just like in the US, if you buy multiple things, the price for shipping goes down or goes away. What do we got on this hollow grind is it looks like there might be a bit of a recurve, but there isn't. It's just sort of, it gives that look because the heel of the blade right here, depending on how you look at it, looks like it might come down, but it's not really. It's basically a nice, smooth, gentle belly for 2/3 of the knife, and then a short little flat area right there. I already mentioned the pocket clip. I should show you how that looks in a pocket. So you slide the knife into a pocket, and it slides way down right to the bottom and basically disappears from straight on. But nobody looks at pants from straight on. It's more of an angle. It's a little hard to do in here because we've got the apparatus and everything. But looking down on it a little bit, you'll be able to see just a little bit of that knife peeking out, very little. And, it looks pretty good. And the pocket clip is a little shiny and everything, so people will notice it there, perhaps, if that's what they're looking for. People who aren't looking for pocket knives, people who don't know much about knives, they really don't notice these things. It's, they don't notice a knife until you've got it out in your hand. The handle is just 2 pieces of flat G10, regular texture on it. That's actually a nice, not super aggressive, but slightly aggressive G10. But then they've gone and done these 3 extra cutouts that sort of flame out, or what's the word for it, radiate out from the pivot, which is a kind of cool design touch. Same thing on this side. If you took the pocket clip off, you could see them. We've got a pivot stud here that just slides in, and you tighten it on the other side. You have to take the pocket clip off in order to get at it, to tighten it or loosen it. I've not had to adjust it at all. The lockup is firm, no side-to-side play, no up and down play. It's nice and solid. I've got 1 phosphor bronze washer. It's on the pocket clip side. I don't know if there you can see it right there, just barely. And then 1 white nylon washer on this side, and it's a little bit harder to see. And they both are pretty good. Those of you who've been with my channel for quite a while know that I don't mind white nylon washers. Nylon these days is a very slippery material. Torx construction everywhere. I like that. And I like these screws, that the ones that are visible here, they're all flush with the G10. I really wish more and more budget knives would have that, instead of having a bump wherever you come across a screw. It's not that expensive to get these flush screws and use those in your knives, like they could have done here as well on the pocket clip. But instead, on the pocket clip, we've got those raised up screws, and usually that's the kind of screw that you see everywhere. So I like it when they don't use those, but instead use these. Really nice. The shape of the handle. The shape of the handle is a little bit, it's okay, but it's not great. This choil up here for the access lock is too big. And what it means is when I'm holding the knife to use it, I'm holding it like this, because that's how my hand just fits inside there. It's hard to hold it on the right angle underneath here. So my hand's just on there, but that means this middle finger, if I take it out, you can see goes right on the apex of that high spot. So it's slightly uncomfortable there. It's not the best idea, and that's why my middle finger is out. It's not the best idea right there. They could have either made that smoother, made that transition a little bit smoother, or moved that point up a little bit, and it would be a better knife for it without it costing them any more money. It's not a super big deal, but it is something that's real. It doesn't really bother me that much until I was, taking apart cardboard boxes for 15 minutes straight, seeing how long the edge would last, and I just went and went and went like crazy. Then it got a little bit uncomfortable there. So not a big problem at all. Lockup on this knife is exactly what I like a brand new liner lock knife to be. I like it when the edge of this liner lock meets up with this edge of the blade. And so it's almost as if you could run your finger across there, but you can't. It's too deep. It's inside there. But those 2 edges line up. Looking at it this way, the leftmost edge of the blade and the leftmost edge of the liner lock are in line with one another. That way you've got your lock having 100% engagement with the blade, and yet you've got lots of life for wear for this lock to wear over. And since both of these are stainless steel, it's not going to wear that quickly. So this knife has got an awful lot of life in it. I'll accept knives that are like that, and only have what, half of the liner lock on the onto the tang of the blade, but I prefer it when it's just a little bit further over. So that's good. All the edges are smooth. There's no fit and finish problems. There's no rough edges, no sharp spots, except for this one long sharp spot right there. I just can't get rid of that sharp spot. I've rubbed on it with files and stuff and all kinds of things, and then I've taken it to a piece of leather and try to wipe it on this piece of leather, and it just stays sharp. Oh well. And I know that was a lame attempt at humor. I like this knife. Let's talk about the dimensions. We've got a cutting edge of 7.2 centimeters, which is 2.8 inches. The blade from the apex of this circle to the tip of the blade here, 7.5 centimeters, 2.94 inches. So this is a knife that totally works if you are in a jurisdiction where you can only have 3-inch or shorter knives. Steel, the thickness of the blade steel here is 2.8 millimeters, which is 0.11 inches. The thickness of the edge behind the grind, so you got your hollow grind going thin and then coming to the edge, and then you've got your final grind. And so right where my thumbnail is, if I measure the thickness of the steel on either side of that cutting edge, 0.69 millimeters, which is 0.26 inches. That's a little thick. It's a little bit heavy. And I found that when I was doing my cutting of the cardboard, I had to use a little more effort to cut than I wanted to. It's not a big loss. I mean, it's not a big negative, but it's a small negative, and there's no way to get around it. The more that I sharpen the knife, the more steel that I take away, the thicker that thickness behind the grind is going to become. And that's why that's an important measurement. The older a knife gets, the further up the steel you go, the thicker that behind the grind line is, and then it makes it what's the word I'm looking for? It makes it more difficult to cut through things because you're cutting through you're using a bigger thickness of steel to cut through stuff. The handle length is 10.2 centimeters, which is 4 inches. The grip area down here is 8.5 centimeters, which is 3.3 inches. And the thickness of the handle, not counting the pocket clip, 1.25 centimeters, which is 0.49 inches, just under half an inch. The total length of the knife when it's open is 17.8 centimeters, which is 7 inches. It weighs 102 grams, which is 3.6 ounces. And that's why I don't mind that it's not skeletonized. Let's do some cut tests and see how well this thing performs that way. So I've got some copy paper. It caught a little bit right there. So you can see it's cutting, but it's not cutting supremely well. It cuts okay. Part of that is the thickness behind the grind being a little bit heavier. And part of it is I don't still have a cutting edge on this. I decided about a month ago to start doing my cut tests when the knife is new. But this knife is about 5 months old. I've had it for a while before doing the review, so I have sharpened it and everything in between. I just used my memory to see how sharp it was when I got it, and I think it's pretty close. That's pretty much how it comes. That's not that big of a deal because if you have a knife collection or even just a couple knives, actually, if you have one knife, you need to learn how to sharpen it. And so if you know how to sharpen a knife, then it doesn't really matter what it comes as. There we go, cutting through this 7-strand paracord. That works very well. And let's do some slicing tests and see how well it slices. So it slices okay with the slice test. Not bad. And again, that's 7-strand paracord. Here's some 1-inch wide banding. I think Bandit thinks there's somebody at the door, and really it's just my son went upstairs. And let's cut through this. There we go. That cut through pretty well. Again, it's the thickness behind the grind that was slowing that down a little bit. And slicing through it works quite well too. So there you go. That's how it cuts. At this price point, it's a nice nondescript knife. I'd like it better in a stone wash. That would make it a little less reflective. But other than that, it's a very comfortable knife. I don't mind tip-down carry at all. Those of you who've seen my tip-down, tip-up video recognize why. This is a nice knife if you're looking for something sort of nondescript, kind of subtle, something to be your secondary knife, or maybe your main knife if you live in a place where you need something smaller. Something that's not going to grab attention, and something that if you do lose it, or if it gets taken away or something, it's not a big loss. Financially, it's like $10. And yet it's 3 times as much as what you can get for $10 at a American gas station, Canadian gas station for that matter. So it's a better choice than that. So there you go. That's this knife. I like it. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, regardless of if you like the knife or not, if you like the video, please click on like, share, comment. Comments are my favorite section. Please let me know what you're thinking. And I'd like to build relationships with you guys. Some of you guys have become good friends simply by commenting and starting to email back and forth and things like that. I really like that a lot. It really makes my day. If you're not yet a subscriber, please subscribe. I'll have a link in the description that's below the video. Click on where it says show more. There'll be a link so that you can buy this from GearBest if you'd like to. If you use my referral links, I get 5-10 cents per sale, and that really helps out this channel in the long run. Mark your calendars for Saturday. Saturday, I've got a big reveal for you. I've got something big that I'm going to share with you guys. So be looking forward to that. Remember, cut towards your chum, not your thumb.